Welcome back. You're watching us here on Chartbusters. The news that's busting the charts is the insurance space, because the Finance Ministry has proposed changes to the Insurance and the IRDAI Act and sought comments on the proposed amendments by 15th December. However, the big one among those amendments is the one composite license for life, health and general insurance. The top insurance regulator, Devashish Panda, also recently told us that he is in favor of such a composite license. So to discuss this and more, we do have with us Niraj Shah, who's the CFO at HDFC Life. Niraj, thank you for joining us. And that really is the first question. You know, once there is a composite license which allows you to do everything, you know, from an industry standpoint, how does that change things? And secondly, for you in specific, you know, for an HDFC Life, do they favor general insurance more? Do they get into health? How do you see these things going for you?
Yeah, so I think from overall development of the sector perspective, it's definitely a fairly set of changes that are being recommended, and we welcome those wholeheartedly from a sector perspective. As far as composite licenses are concerned, clearly different financial groups are operating in a different manner, and the calls that will be taken would be dependent on the structure in the group, where you know, different businesses are being conducted by you know, each of those entities in a manner which could be different from group to group. So that's where it would be.
All right. Hi, Niraj. You know, I had a more general question for the industry. It may not be for your group, but do you make sense if there are two different arms? That is, one is doing life, one is doing general, to bring it together, you know, merge both the two entities and function under one head. I'm just thinking aloud. Maybe it saves on cost. Maybe it saves on license fees. What's your thoughts from an industry perspective?
So again, from an industry perspective, you know, different groups are operating in a manner which could be, you know, not similar to each other. A lot of companies have been in existence for over 20 odd years, are already at scale and are operating at, you know, efficiency levels which are fairly optimal. Of course, the businesses are also distinct in terms of the kind of, you know, sub-segments that each of them run. Some of the activities could be more complementary in terms of, let's say, the health business aspects of it, which, you know, as an industry, we have already made representations in terms of how things could happen. So I guess it's more in terms of, you know, at what stage of evolution each company and the, you know, the segments are. So I think it's more to do with how that can be thought about.
So it's interesting that you're saying it from an industry standpoint. While, you know, from an industry standpoint, we understand that there is a possibility, etc., depending on the stage of evolution, etc. But, you know, if you had to draw from specifics and then guide for an industry outlook, and this is in no way asking you about HDFC Life itself, but you guys have HDFC Life and HDFC Ergo. How would things, you know, happen between the two of you all were there to be a composite license? Just hypothetically asking.
So the good thing is, you know, our companies are working fairly closely together in allied spaces like what I mentioned in terms of health. We have a combination product which would serve the customers well in terms of combining aspects of life and health insurance. More of that will continue along the way as, you know, things develop. As far as, you know, the group is concerned, like I said, you know, it's finally in terms of how the promoter is thinking about how to run the businesses. For us, the businesses are at scale and are able to serve the customers in a fairly efficient manner.
But, you know, off the cuff, do you think it makes sense to bring both of them together? Anyway, they're working closely, right, you said?
So, like I said, you know, businesses are operating in a particular manner, and the entities are already established and are at scale. Customers are getting the kind of
would you be Niraj,
access to
Niraj, what we're trying to understand is, would you be leaning towards, you know, which side would you be leaning towards? Bringing entities may not be for y'all, but do you think that bringing it together makes sense, or do you think that, you know, keeping it separate and let them scale individually makes better sense? As of now, as of the details that we have of now, things obviously will change.
Yeah, so you just think about, you know, the intent with which these recommendations are being made. The government and the regulators already aware of, you know, certain structures in the. And these are some of the things that could, in terms of anyone who's setting up greenfield, maybe thinking about it slightly differently from companies that are already in existence, like we discussed, right? So it is going to be fairly group specific, and yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Okay, yeah, Niraj, you are speaking a lot, but I wonder if you're saying anything out there or not. But, let's leave that be. Let's talk about the other aspect of this. There is a possibility that you can go ahead and distribute all the other wealth products too, which includes the likes of mutual fund, other investment products. That could be an additional revenue stream too. I mean, from your understanding, how big a revenue stream that could be in terms of addition? Do you see a 3, 4, 5% sort of additional income coming in for companies or the industry, or more than that?
So I would think here, the objective would be more in terms of offering something more seamless in allied areas for the customers. And I think there are multiple things that are being thought about here in terms of distribution of allied products. That is one. And also getting into allied segments, which are going beyond just, products, in terms of having platforms and ecosystems in place which serve customers more seamlessly than what is happening today. So yeah, wholeheartedly welcome that. Yeah.
While it's seamless at the front end, the back end is still not seamless because there may be some sort of regulatory overlap, right? So do you think you'll have to navigate through that?
Of course. So there will be a lot of conversations around this. This is something that will have to be thought through in terms of how it translates on the ground in terms of both the back end as well as in terms of from a customer perspective. So yeah, lots to be thought through and drilled down. But, directionally, it appears, in favor of customers getting a more seamless experience for sure.
And what about the proposal to, lower the minimum capital requirement? Will that, lower the bar for a lot of people to come in and maybe increase competition, etc.? Do you see this benefiting the sector? How does it make a difference?
Here again, the intent really is to allow as many entities to come and operate and explore different business models. We already have a set of the 2 or 3 sectors that are operating in excess of 50 odd companies that are operating, and more entrants will only get things a little more innovation could happen on the ground. Of course, the capital requirement would be in line with the scale and the business segments that the companies are offering, and the regulator would obviously look at that closely.
And quickly, before letting you go, Bima Sugan, what are your thoughts on that? Because do you fear what happened to the AMC industry will happen to you guys as well when it comes to commissions?
No, we are very excited about this development. I think it is more power to the consumer, and it allows the manufacturers to get more access directly to customers, in addition to the distribution channels through which we come in touch with customers. So I think it's a great initiative in terms of bringing all the segments of onboarding, servicing, and claim settlement for customers in the manner of their choosing.
What do you think makes more sense for players like you? Manufacturing newer products once you get the composite license, or maybe sell others' products?
Again, we discussed on the composite license. As far as the current structure goes, of course, we would like to participate more in allied segments, as we've discussed in terms of health. We believe it's fairly close to life. We've already shared our views in terms of from a sector and from a company perspective. So we'd like more of that to happen. Of course, we are more than happy to start with distribution of these products, to give customers a more holistic proposition.
Okay, all right, Niraj, appreciate you stopping by and giving us, your take on these changes as well as how industry is shaping up. We look forward to having a chat with you and the rest of the management in the next couple of weeks as well. For the time being, we'll slip into a short break. Come back.